cask strength. Casey Jones is a local distillery located here in Hopkinsville, Kentucky, which is just across the state line, about let's say hour 15 minutes north of Nashville. So I saw this item in the liquor store the other day as a new item. Saw that it was local. I love supporting local distilleries. I think with the market how it is right now, it's great when local distilleries are able to get national distributors to place their product inside liquor stores outside of where they are located, especially being, it's really hard for local distilleries to, I guess, broaden their reach based on the market. It's a very competitive market, even though liquor sales in particular are up due to pandemic, but bourbon and whiskey in particular has risen 41% in the last year, and that's a random stat brought to us by the David Gruen sponsorship. Just a little bit about it. It's made in Kentucky. I like the fact that it was an MGP, so I found that is interesting. And those who don't know what MGP is a Midwest grain product, and I'll get more into that in later reviews. Let's see. Again, local price point wasn't bad for a local distilled product. It was $40. Usually they're on the higher end side because, again, them being in a very saturated market with bourbons nowadays, you gotta understand the incumbent that they're facing has over 100 years worth of branding and almost unlimited capital to advertise, produce. So again, there's quite some challenges to actually be able to distill your own product without any type of help from an MGP or an outside or a third party distiller. But we'll go ahead and we'll try this, we'll talk about it, and we will get going. So this is a cask strength, so it's 56% alcohol, so that puts us at a 112 proof. It's aged 2.5 years, which we have here in the bottle. So not very well aged, but the color is looks like a more mature bourbon. Usually will have a lighter tint to it if it's not a very mature bourbon or a whiskey. So I found that pretty intriguing. Again, this is a cask strength as well, so usually it's a higher price point as well for cask strength products. So again, it being around the $40 mark made it a pretty easy buy. So we'll go ahead and pour it, talk about it. So this is obviously not my first time having this. I obviously tried it when I got home or prior to this recording, but I'm curious to see if this is going to be different from when I first tried this. So for being 112, I think they did a great job. And it's not too harsh, but still it does smell young. Again, you don't really get a whole lot of the flavor profile from just the smell. You get a little bit of caramel on the front end, but that's it's that very heavy corn mash bill. And the mash bill it just says high corn, low rye, so they don't really specify what the percentages are. Usually I like to rattle those off. And not too violent on the nostrils for the 112 proof, but we'll go ahead and give it a whirl. Again, it's definitely a young bourbon. Definitely has a taste. It's not very smooth. You definitely have that alcohol burn from that 112. Usually more mature bourbon you won't really feel it so heavy on the front end of your palate. It'll the finish will be more, in the esophagus, or as you taste it, you'll immediately just get kicked in the taste buds with the burn on a more mature bourbon. I just taste straight corn, not a whole lot of flavor profile. I did add some water the first time I tried it, a few drops, and it did bring out some of the flavors a little bit, but not really enough to say it made this product worth it in terms of the $40, which is tough because some of these distilleries is what they're facing. It's not like the beer market where more people are seeking the local craft brews because the price point is so different as opposed to being out $12 to $15 for 6-pack of beer, you're out $40 to $60 on a bourbon or a whiskey or a rum. From local distillery, that's not quite great. So again, a lot of challenges for distilleries, but we'll go ahead and rate it. Unfortunately, I hate kind of giving these a bad rap when they're not that great, but we'll just call it for how it is. I'll say a 4.5 at best. I think this probably could be good as a mixer. Maybe over time, maybe it's one of those bottles to where it'll just sit on my shelf and a year later I'll have a different flavor profile. But for right now, again, this will probably sit on my shelf for a bit. But that